Are you tired of feeling lost and overwhelmed at trade shows and conferences? Well, you're probably approaching trade shows and conferences wrong. But it's okay, because most people do. After a decade and a half, geez, I'm getting old. After a decade and a half as a business development consultant navigating trade shows and conferences, I can say without a doubt that many business professionals struggle to maximize the opportunities that these big events offer. Now, don't get me wrong, even many specialized salespeople struggle with these often overwhelming events. So in this video, I'm going to go over a few best practices that I've learned from personal experience, and hopefully it will help you maximize your time at your next event and fill your lead pipeline to keep you busy for the rest of the year. Also, make sure to stay until the end of the video to learn about one strategy that I use that most people don't, which has allowed me to double my prospecting goals every time that I'm at an event. So first off, you should always prime your mindset to know that this is a big opportunity for you to develop new business opportunities. Now imagine attending a trade show or conference where there are a few hundred people registered and in attendance. How else would you get an opportunity to speak to this many people at once? Think about it. How many lunches, emails, phone calls, or knocks on the door would you have to make just to get a chance to talk to a few hundred people? Do the math. It would take a good chunk of the year, in addition to all the client work that you need to do as a professional, just to get through a few of those few hundred names. So make sure you shift your mindset to look at this as more of a hack to get significant attention to what you have to say or sell. Second, developing a game plan prior to attending can be the difference between a successful event and one that feels like failure. Now, to ensure success, it's important to plan ahead and have clear objectives in mind. Before attending, research the show or conference agenda and identify potential networking opportunities. Also consider how you want to represent your business, such as any materials or marketing collateral that should be prepared beforehand. One important action plan that I include in my checklist is something I call the 555 plan. Sounds like I'm going to try to sell you something here, but I'm really not, so hear me out. What I do is I make a list of 5 important people or industry influencers that I want to try and meet. I make a list of 5 existing relationships that I want to catch up on with the event and 5 prospects that I want to connect with and begin building my rapport with. See, the 555 plan. I choose these 3 segments because with industry influencers, they are a gateway for connections and can help make a warm introduction to prospects that may be on your list. Another reason you want to connect with industry influencers is that perhaps you have a podcast or are writing an article that may need some industry expertise to help complete your content. What better way to get an influencer onto your platform? In terms of 5 existing relationships, it is always important to keep up relationships with those existing contacts, as you never know where opportunities may lie for both parties. I've been in situations where I took an existing referral source out for dinner and I ended up learning about a new opportunity that I was able to pitch our services to and close on that business. Now, 5 new prospects, because if you aren't building new relationships and filling your pipeline with new leads, you may find yourself scrambling at the end of the year. So 555, just my own personal rule. Feel free to use whatever number makes the most sense for you. Third, if you're an exhibitor at the event, make sure to always go with a team. Now, I know it's really hard for those who are sole practitioners or small owner-operator companies, but it's very hard to maximize your opportunities if you are the only person at the event, or worse yet, the only person able to manage the booth. By having multiple people attend from your company, you can split the duties of who is at the booth, who is roaming the convention floor, and who is attending the individual workshop sessions. Now, one thing about workshop sessions, it's easy to ignore them or try to skip them because you think they're boring. But not only are you going to learn some new things, you're also going to meet some new people sitting in those workshops who might be also not looking forward to attending these workshops, and it might be good to connect with them. So make sure you attend those workshops. Fourth, make sure to have as much fun as you can. It will put your mind at ease rather than making you feel like it's just another day at work or you can't wait to get out of the convention center at the end of the day. Woohoo, back to the hotel by myself. By looking at trade shows as a fun way to do business development, you will be a lot more open to new ideas and meeting new people. One way I have found to make it as fun as possible is to attend as many hospitality suites or after hours parties as possible. There's no shortage of exhibitors and sponsors looking to outdo the competition at large conferences. Hospitality suites, after hours parties, and sponsored in-city events such as golfing are all usually on the docket, and it's your job to find where those are happening. Reach out to the event organizers and your industry contacts to see who has an in to these events. After-hour parties are probably the best as everybody lets loose at the end of a long day, and you can have more personable touch points with people you want to do business with. Fifth point, be remembered. Do whatever you can to be remembered in a positive way, of course. You probably don't want to embarrass yourself, especially if you're a professional looking to make a good impression on potential clients and referral sources. So if you can't handle that liquor, make sure you stay away from it. I'll share something that my business partner does really well at these events. Now, while he's an accountant by trade, he is also an avid photographer, and he has all the fancy camera gear you can think of. At conferences, he always has his camera out and he's taking candid shots of attendees. Now, with their permission, he asks if he can post the pictures on social media to share. Most attendees will say yes, and when he tags them in his photos on his social profile, his profile reaches that person's network that he took the photo of. What an amazing way to amplify the connections he makes at these conferences. Now, of course, not everyone is a photographer or is comfortable asking others for photos, so do what is natural and comfortable to you. Try and be a presenter at an event, pass out fun stickers about your company every time you meet someone, or maybe host a small get-together and buy drinks for key prospects you meet at the event. Okay, as promised at the beginning of the video, I would share one strategy that works wonders for me that I still don't see many other attendees do. For most conferences, they will have an early setup time for exhibitors to come the day before to get their booth set up. If you are also exhibiting at the event, make sure to get there as early as possible and get your booth set up quick. This is where having multiple people from your company attend is important. So while your team is setting up the booth, or if you can get that done early, I would start walking around the convention center and chat with the other exhibitors. What I found was that I would be able to get meetings set up early or even get some insight into who is the decision maker at that company. Now, because I got there a day earlier, most of the exhibitors weren't super rushed and they had a few minutes for a quick chat. Now, the other advantage was that I was pretty much the first person to talk to them, so they were probably more than eager to take my business card or commit to having a meeting later in the conference schedule. If I was able to chat with the decision maker on the spot, I would end up getting introduced to an entirely new network of people that I wasn't expecting or even planning to meet at the event. Now, one thing to note, make sure to take into consideration that if that person is setting up the booth and they look stressed out or they're super busy, the last thing they probably want to do is talk to you. So in those situations, I would normally just take note, come back later, or alternatively, I've offered to help other exhibitors set up their booth, which they are more than happy to take my help on, but it's a good way for you to make a new connection. Now, what if you aren't an exhibitor, you're just an attendee? Now, I don't recommend lying to the organizers, but I do have a different strategy here. And what I've done in the past is reach out to the organizers and offer to do something what I call the coffee run to each exhibitor. Sometimes you'll be able to do it for free, and all it costs is for you to grab some large coffee travel cases and some disposable cups and go around handing out coffee to exhibitors as they're setting up. Now, recently though, some organizers have started realizing there's some sponsorship and ad opportunities by doing something like that. So you may have to negotiate a bit of a sponsorship deal with the organizer, but to me, it's well worth the cost if you can afford it. So that's it. 6 ways that you can be better prepared this year to maximize your attendance at trade shows and conferences. Remember, having a well thought out strategy in place before venturing out will help maximize the impact of participating in those events. Research the companies and attendees who will be there, identify potential leads in advance. And the other thing I didn't cover is make sure you have a clear elevator pitch and be ready to articulate the value of your services that you can bring to the businesses that you're meeting. With the right approach, trade shows and conventions can be a valuable tool for growing your business and your practice. So be prepared, be confident, make the most out of the opportunity to connect with new people. Thank you for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I will catch you in our next video.